like you don't suddenly hand drumsticks to Tommy Harper and he learns how to play overnight. And he's just as good as the other guy, right? But it's a movie. It's putting move the story along. It's not trying to be realistic in that respect, I think.
That is a perfect analogy, though. Nonsense. Man, you fucking nailed it. Giving Micah Wallace the drums is like giving Tommy Harper a fucking pair of drumsticks. Mm-hmm. Now, he does say he's breaking him in and figuring him out. Yeah, so. Right.
Welcome to Season 3 of Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Clif and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest.
Withnail starts a band will not be seen this week, so we may bring you the following drunken stupor. That's what happened after the end of it. Yeah.
Interesting episode, folks. I'd probably strap in if I was you. Just make sure your 5-point harness is fully secure.
Of course, strap in, because it's season 3, episode 36.
That's right, baby.
Which means we have hit the end of season 3, but don't despair. We'll be back next week with the beginning of season 4. And do you want to get us out of here on a quote? No, we're not to that point yet. Just kind of letting you know where we're at. But the interesting thing, because I like to say that word a lot, I'm not even going to introduce myself yet. First, I want to say that this season today will be 72 solid movies we covered in 9 months' time, because seasons 1 and 2 had making episodes sprinkled in. So this is the first season where we did 72 movies. Woo-wee.
Yeah, I felt it. There were weeks where it was like, whoo. I mean, it was like we talked about during Party Animal and Black Rock, where it's like, boy, it was nice to have two movies under 120 or an hour 25 minutes. You know, because some of these movies, especially once you're doing all the reviewing and all the due diligence, right, along with watching the film. Yeah.
It's Talking Pondo?
Yeah, it's Talking Pondo. You're right.
I'm Marty. And
I'm Clif.
And we're back talking movies again. And now you know what Pondo is if you listen to every episode.
Yeah. If you haven't, you need to.
If not,
you should go back and listen to that Pondo Sinatra.
I might put it in the show notes now, that Pondo episode. You can just link people to, you want to know what that is? Here, listen to that
Our origin episode. It only took 100 episodes to get there, but it was our origin episode.
And people start coming up to us and going, so Pondo comes from that Black Rock movie? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Spencer Tracy. Yeah, we like to call him Pondo at home.
Boy, did we do a lot of quirky British movies this season. And we did a lot of British movies, and some movies that you could say are quirky, but I'd be like, no, I'm going to argue that one's less quirky. But that's for the season review coming up. But for today, we have 2 more totally quirky British movies.
Very much so. Well, I guess one's Irish and the other's British.
Well, it's still all the thing, like, you know,
all the Emerald Isles, right?
Somebody over there is watching an American movie and a Canadian movie and a movie from Mexico and saying, it's all
North
that American stuff. And I'm okay with that. So, but they all have that same kind of quirk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so our movies today are not Withnail and I, which some American would call it. The guy's name is Withnail. Right? Withnail and I.
Withnail and I.
And that movie is no surprise that movie came out on January 1st, 1987, kicking off that stretch in style right away. Movie was shot in 86, of course, but wow, does it belong at the beginning of that zeitgeist of the 1987 to 1994 stretch. And our other movie is, where would so many of these other quirky British movies be without Alan Parker's 1991's The Commitments? A movie that really didn't do that well when it first came out, but got a cult following as time went on. Yeah. Because I think for the average viewer, it might be too much subtext going on, but we'll get into that as
maybe. I think you might be right. I think that it's one of those movies that rewards multiple viewings. the more that you watch it,
and life experience.
Yeah, in life experience. But the more that you watch it, and of course, especially if you're into music and you've ever been anywhere near a band or anywhere been near the dynamics of bands, or your friends have been in bands or whatever, there's a little bit of that in there too. But yeah,
we have listener mail.
Sweet, let's check it out. What have we got?
Speaking of the party animal.
Yes.
Ray Daniel writes in talking about that movie and says, "Oh man, Party Animal is literally imprinted and fried in my brain."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you were around us in the 90s,
It would be.
it's imprinted in your brain as well.
We did that.
We did that.
I don't feel bad about it either. I have no regrets in that regard at all.
No regrets.
I'm glad.
So like we said, listen to that episode.
It's going to be like that scene in Reign of Fire where Christian Bale and that other dude are reenacting Star Wars, right? Like we've pushed Party Animal on, and so when the apocalypse happens and everything crumbles and the necromancers are wandering the wastelands in caves somewhere, they'll be reenacting the Party Animal. It'll be, and kids will just be like, "What the fuck is this? This is amazing."
And this is simultaneously happening with reality shows about cooking, right?
Hopefully. God, that's even more amazing.
If you count that movie, it's 73 movies. But we didn't review that movie. We just talked about it. Cuisine de l'Apocalypse. Watch that over on Tubi. It's a trip.
Kyle and Zuzu Weingart. Definitely check that out on Tubi. It's definitely worth a watch.
So what do you want to start the season finale off with?
That's an easy one. Much like Party Animal Black Rock, I want to get Withnail and I out of the way so we can talk about the commitments.
Withnail.
Yeah. But
Withnail.
Look,
well, you never hear I's name. He's always just and I.
Oh no, we get his name. No, we get his name in the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I made a note of it.
What's his name?
I'll have to go through my notes and find it. But
Wikipedia reader. What's his name?
I wrote it down on my actual notes here.
Because there's a whole thing on Wikipedia, and they do write his name.
His name is Marwood.
That's the common.
Yeah, his name is Marwood.
Yeah. But it is kind of a trip that even in the end credits it just says and I.
Yeah.
Now, this movie ends. Or this movie begins the way the other movie ends. And that alone sent goosebumps on my arm. Because Whiter Shade of Pale creates that
connection.
What does that affect when an album ends and then the first song loop back into the first song? And these two movies kind of do that to each other no matter what order you watch them in. That really freaked me out, man, when Whiter Shade of Pale showed up in both movies. It's just strange, right? It's just strange. What's going on there? Why is that? Why?
I think it's a perfect use of the song in two very vastly different films. Withnail and I is a film about two.
What is Withnail and I? Let's explain that.
That's a good call. Let me read that to you.
Unpack, as the AI likes to say.
Withnail and I, 1987, rated R, 1 hour and 47 minutes. Directed and written by Bruce Robinson, stars Richard E. Grant, Paul McGann, Richard Griffiths. Let's see. Your log line is: two sloppy actors spend a weekend holiday at an uncle's country cottage. Is that what happens?
Oh, that's a part of it, I guess. Storyline. It really isn't a plot.
London, 1969. Two resting, unemployed, and unemployable actors, Withnail and Marwood, fed up with damp, cold piles of washing up, mad drug dealers, and psychotic Irishmen, decide to leave their squalid Camden flat for an idyllic holiday in the countryside, courtesy of Withnail's uncle Monty's country cottage. When they get there, it rains nonstop, there's no food, and their basic survival instincts turn out to be somewhat limited. Matters are not helped by the arrival of Uncle Monty, who shows an uncomfortably keen interest in Marwood.
And it's set in the late 60s. It's the very, very end of the 60s, this movie.
So I never caught that. Like, I don't know if I missed it, if they were somehow.
Oh, yeah, you missed that? Yeah, they establish it very early on.
I did not. Yeah, I missed them establishing that it was.
I think a title comes
maybe
up
a title or something. Okay, I must have looked away for a second, missed it. But, and that makes a little bit more sense, I guess. The opening reminded me of Tootsie for some reason. I don't know why. That very beginning opening with the song and the thing.
The whiter shade of pale.
It's just such a Tootsie feel to it. Is freaking weird to me. I don't know.
Well, it's a very grainy movie.
And watching those eggs just swim in grease at the beginning, I'm just like, oh fuck, the Brits.
Yeah, I called it the British Fear and Loathing, but I also call it the British Clerks / SLC Punk, and it predates those too.
Yeah.
It has that kind of a precursor.
It's like someone took the young ones to the next level.
Yeah. If you like Rick Mile,
if you like that, you'll love this. It's like watching two well-educated English meth heads run around for an hour and a half. And
they are speed freaks.
They're fucking entertaining as shit, but I mean, you're 40, 45 fucking minutes of this movie going, where is this going? What is the point of this? What's the story? Where's the plot? And there really isn't one. It's just watching these two assholes kind of careen into shit for an hour and a half.
It's the end of the crazy. Right. It's like, here we go again with the Fandango or any of these, like, now it's going to switch. It's not going to be this anymore. I have to get my shit together, and you're not going to get your shit together.
It's that weird crashing out of Fear and Loathing. Fear and Loathing is a good example too. That weird crashing out at the end once they've threatened the girl at the restaurant and they're finally leaving Vegas, and it's just sort of frizzled and frazzled and fried the fuck out. It seems like that has something to do with it too.
And that's why I say SLC Punk, like now I'm gonna clean up and I'm gonna do this, but you're always gonna be, you're on a whole other adventure over there.
Well, you're never gonna get a real job as an actor, so you're never gonna be called upon to. These guys are. It's my feeling that these guys are like this because this is where they are in their lives and their lots, and if they were making better money or getting more work, they wouldn't be as much like this, right? Or at least Marwood wouldn't. Withnail maybe. Right. But it's sort of, well, here's the madness that we're like MASH, right? Like we're doctors and we're forced into this butchery shop and hacking these kids up who come in from the front line. So let's drink and be merry for tomorrow we die type of thing. Right. And Withnail and Marwood very much seem to be in that mindset due to where they are as actors and their employment prospects and that type of thing.
Yeah. Kind of a OG Train Spotting in ways.
Dude, just fucking, my note literally says it's gross and dirty like Train Spotting or the young ones, but where's the drugs?
Well, they've done them already.
Right, but that's the only thing missing from this movie that I don't really see is any real serious drug use.
Yeah, and what I really like is towards the end when the guy rolls that carrot thing that he needs 12 papers for.
Yes.
And you see, he's made a cone, the 60s version of a cone. And he fixes the run at one point. And you're like, oh, now that's authentic. Because you don't see somebody fix a run in a movie too much.
Well, and that's the dude. He's the legendary roadie from Wayne's World 2.
He is, isn't he? That's why he's so familiar.
As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, that's the legendary roadie from fucking Wayne's World 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why he's like, the greatest decade of mankind is ending. That's what he's telling them. Yeah.
He's got such a distinct way of talking. It was, it's got this early moments of like mumblecore, early moments of Tarantino.
That's why I say January 1st, 87 couldn't have arrived at a
it's
better
fucking crazy.
moment.
Like, especially once our boy from Wayne's World 2 shows up and he's talking in these long stretches about where he is and who he's from and drugs. That's so goddamn fucking Quentin Tarantino. It's not even funny. It's like that guy pulled his whole career from that one scene and just went, oh, well, if I just regurgitate other people's movies and do this with it, and look, I'll be Quentin Tarantino. It's insane. It's absolutely insane.
Another thing they share in common, there's a person named Peter Frampton who worked on both movies. It's not the musician. Wow. It's a makeup artist. A guy, I think, who actually won Oscars for like Braveheart and stuff, did the makeup on both movies. So you have that and the lighter shade of pale connection.
Marwood and Withnail both drink sherry. This is 1987.
They drink everything.
They do, but at one point they're both like sherry. And I had to look it up. And so I did.
This is 1969, right?
Yes, but the film is made in 1987, right?
Well, 6, yeah.
6, right? But it comes out in 87.
Yeah.
Being a British classic and Frasier being such an enophile, he and his brother being enophiles, when Frasier starts, Frasier and Niles exclusively drink sherry. And it's always Sherry Niles, Sherry Frasier. And I wonder if they kind of, like the writers kind of pulled that weird moment from this for the show. And it feels like they did, because this is the sort of British kind of humor and counterculture that would feed, that American writers, I think, would discover and really feed into.
Yeah, apparently it was already getting a cult following.
That makes complete sense.
I think it might not have been released here on video till the mid-90s.
Yeah.
But I think some people were already, seeing it, of course. Because sometimes it takes a while for
it to seep over.
Stuff to get over here.
That's why Canada's like it is. I will never play the Dane. I'm stealing that for our script. That's going to be my reference to Withnail and I. Will be.
Why not? Because we already got something from the other movie and in the script, and I went, "That's where that's from."
Yeah.
Wow, I thought you made that up. That's what I get for not doing my research.
I'm not that good. The driving scenes have a Fear and Loathing feel. Mm-hmm. They have a very Fear and Loathing feel, especially in the middle of the night where he's driving and he's like, "You move farther to the right," and he can't see, and he's just driving. I got to pull over.
Oh yeah,
it's my favorite quote from the whole movie is, give them a dose of unadulterated child's piss, and they have to give you your keys back." But yeah, I'm 35 minutes in and there's no plot. They've gone out to the country for some reason. They're actors. At no point do they establish that Monty is his uncle until he arrives later. In fact, in the beginning, when they first meet Monty seems to be one of those kind of classic fringe character actors, kind of theater hanger-on gay type of people, right? Like there's no mention of him being Withnail's, that they're related at all, as far as I can tell.
I thought they did in that first scene.
I couldn't tell for the life of me.
It's so quick. You talk about repeated viewings. They're cramming so much because they don't hold your hand. Yeah. They're kind of
this movie definitely is not holding your hand at all. This movie it's very Waiting for Godot, very weird, like no reference, no exposition, stream of consciousness. You have to just kind of keep up with the dialogue. In fact, wow, very much like our next movie, The Commitments, which is, if you've ever read the Roddy Doyle's book, The Commitments, it's just basically like lines back and forth. And unless you know the staccato and the pace of who's talking in what position, you get lost in who's saying what. Right. And that's kind of like what this movie's like. It's just so much dialogue and so much, like a Kevin Smith Clerks movie, for fuck's sake. It's like you said, it's insane. It's insane how much other filmmakers pulled from this movie.
Oh, yeah. Same for the other movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the movies we watched this season, I feel, pulled from it. And this movie, too.
When he brings dinner and it's just a live chicken, and Withnail's like, how do we make it die? Like, oh my God. It has a weird charm to it. It really does. It's strangely charming and strangely funny, but it's also, I guess because I'm an American, kind of strangely at times perplexing and head scratching, where I'm just kind of like, what the fuck is going on?
But it explains itself if you stick with it.
Dude, when they stand that chicken up in the oven, we're like, take the feet off. He's like, no, he's going to need him. And he stands the chicken up in the oven before he closes the oven door. I was fucking howling, man. I could not stop laughing at that shit. That was hilarious.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to result in a fire or something.
Right. No.
Just, life goes on.
So the actor who plays Marwood, he shows up in another movie a little bit later. Do you know what that movie is, Marty?
Oh, hit me up. What is it?
Okay, well, it's pretty pretty unexpected, to be completely honest with you.
It was that Ninja Turtles movie, wasn't it?
No, it's the 1993 Three Musketeers with Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland, and Chris O'Donnell.
So it was the Hot Shots connection.
So it's the Hot Shots connection. But yeah, he plays the offended brother. Early on, Chris O'Donnell is leaving his country home where he has had sex with some country daughter, and he is moving to Paris to become a musketeer. And her brothers have found out that, of course, he is departing with her maidenhood, and they have decided to kill him for that. And he's one of the brothers, and he plays kind of this very fancy kind of fop, with the wig and the fake mole on his cheek and the pale powder and shit. It's pretty funny. So that's him. I can't remember his name, but yeah,
he's a solid actor.
He's very solid.
Everybody is in this movie, but there's one part where they're eating at the table, and Withnail says some bullshit to the other guy, and I just gives him this fucking stare, and one half of his face is shocked and one half of his face is pissed. And it's interesting to see somebody carry both emotions like that through one eye and the other eye. It's like, you're an interesting actor to be able to.
Richard Griffiths. Richard Griffiths is an amazing actor. He's Monty, the uncle. He's been around for a long time. He's been in a bunch of movies. He's a fantastic actor. Really, really good. So, and speaking of him, Monty at one point is basically like, he's telling Marwood, like, look, I got to have you. We're fucking whether you like it or not. Like, he's just like, look, I know it's bad and I know it's wrong and I know, but it's here, here you go. Here it comes. Fucking grease yourself up and think of England. It's happening. Right. And fucking Marwood's just like horrified. And I'm laughing so loudly that I can't get the air in to make the noise. That's how hard I'm laughing. But I'm also just like, what the fuck is this script? What is going on? And then you find out, of course, that it's all been a setup so that just because Withnail just wanted to go to the country, he was so sick of the city that he basically just offered his friend's ass up to his uncle so they could stay at this fucking country estate. It's insane.
All supposed to make sense.
Yeah, and then it does, but also you start to realize how fucking diabolical his friend is. Like how absolutely fucking diabolical his fucking friend is. It's just wrong.
Yeah, it's another one of these where it's like, does it play today? But then you go, well, remember, this is set in 1969. Things are different in the 60s.
I think it plays. I think it plays.
Well, of course it does, because it's a period piece.
Yeah, it not just because it's a period piece, but I think you could update this and kind of do it, and it would still be funny, and it would still kind of play without having to really change much as far as the landscape goes, the political landscape goes. What do I know? As I like to say often on the show. But hey, what do I know? A toilet trader. What the fuck is that?
Now you know.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I had a hard time following it. I really had a hard time following it. I think it's just so goddamn British that it's so deep into its own culture.
Oh yeah, there's parts where I was just left going, I don't even understand.
It's so meta. It's like watching Clerks, where if you're not American, Clerks, some of the jokes are going to play really well. Hey, nice cat, what's its name? Annoying customer. That joke's going to play anywhere. But some of the other shit is going to, isn't going to play as much because it's about cultural reference.
But there's that tone, right? So no wonder Smith is so popular over there, because now this movie makes that experience make more sense to him.
Completely. I mean, these things feel.
I was like, what are they connecting to? Yeah. And now you're like, oh.
It's just the difference is just in the kind of the cultural lingo, the slang, and the reference, but the whole thing is still there. The whole, sort of working class, downtrodden, making ends meet, hand to foot, hand to mouth type of thing, hand to foot, hand to mouth type of thing. It's culturally, I think that's plays anywhere, right? Everybody struggles. These two, though, Withnail and Marwood, they seem to struggle kind of because they want to.
Well, yeah, it's the 60s. We're still kind of free floating and experimenting and finding ourselves.
Right.
And like the guy at the end, very similar to Easy Rider. It's kind of like, well, it's over now, guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not so much we blew it, but
It's just
you
that
can't keep
it's done.
You can't keep going down that path anymore. You got to figure something else out, and then the switch happens.
Yeah. Well, that's, a movement, when they called it a movement because, movements move to a certain point and then they stop moving. You know what I mean? That's what a movement does. And that movement had stopped. So but yeah, what did you think? Would you enjoy it?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It sticks with you.
It does. It does.
It's well shot.
It is. Another thing I'll say is you're not going to see another movie like it. Even for its basic premise of what it is, you're not going to see another movie. You could give this script out to 50 different people and get 50 different movies, but this is going to be the version you're going to want to watch because it is the wildest, craziest version that you could get.
It's very much these actors specifically. Another movie with barely any women in it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And the actors, Richard Grant and Paul McGann, really carry the film. I mean, they're really, really.
It's almost a two-hander,
excellent.
though.
Yeah, it is very close to a two-hander. Yeah.
So much is just those same people over and over again. Mm-hmm. And they have a rat-infested place, too, just like in the other movies momentarily mentions. I was going to cook onions.
I think it's a movie that I will probably enjoy more the more I watch.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll reveal itself more and kind of I'll understand its cultural references more and that type of thing. I don't know that it's the greatest, the most well-made movie, but at the same time, I don't necessarily care about that. It's like Clerks, right? Black and white, rough camera, not the best movement, whatever. Who gives a shit?
This British Clerks. It's totally 7 years before in the cycle.
I'm going to have to go 4 stars. Yeah. I'm going to have to.
Yeah, you can go Withnail to Clerks.
Yeah,
that's the cycle.
So it's insane how closely tied together they are, and just tone and feel, and just overall that, like, I don't know how else to put it. It feels like Kevin watched Withnail and I and was like, I'm going to make my own version of it.
It's neat that we watched a bunch of those other movies and then we got to this one.
Yeah.
Because it allows us to reflect on all that.
And it's amazing that this came up so organically. It makes sense that people were telling us, oh, you should, that's what you're talking about. Then you should probably watch this too. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That makes complete sense.
It's like, what is that? I mean, even the artwork is that Ralph Steadman drawing. It's like it's telling you it's a Fear and Loathing type.
Yeah, it's giving you a good indication right away. This is what you're getting into.
It's such a trip because they made it at the end of '86, and like 5 months later, it was in theaters. Because you had quick turnaround. So it gets that, like I've mentioned time and time again, that last of that hippie filmmaking, right? Because it's a little bit of the psychedelic, but it's pure '87 to '94 vibe. It totally straddles that fence better than anything, because like before that is Manhattan Project. We're just talking about get rid of the nukes.
Yeah, it's like you said, this is
salt talk.
This is a great herald to what's coming up. Like, hey, this is kind of what you're going to start seeing. You're going to start seeing these weird buddy pictures, these movies with these long monologues, like Pulp Fiction and Clerks and fucking Slacker, and here comes all these other films. It makes a lot of sense. It really makes a lot of sense.
And I wonder how much this informed things like Slacker, right? Well, the next movie has got those 1987 vibes in a way too, because it's based on a book from 1987. And then that got turned into a movie that they shot in late 1990. And that makes sense when you think about it in that respect. And then it comes out in the fall of 91. What is the Full Monty of music film, The Commitment, or the other way around?
Yeah,
the other way around, actually, because Full Monty said, "We'll take that, and we'll replace the music with stripping."
That's it. The Commitments, 1991, rated R, an hour and 58 minutes. Jimmy Rabbit, an unemployed Dublin boy, decides to put together a soul band made up entirely of the Irish working class. This is directed by Alan Parker. It's written by Roddy Doyle, rewritten for the screen by Dick Clement and Ian Lafrene. Stars Robert Arkins, Michael Ahern, Angelina Ball, a fuckload others. Let's see. Your log line is just what I told you, the Jimmy Rabbit thing. And then your storyline is funny, musical, and occasionally dramatic. This is the story of the tumultuous rise and fall of a Dublin soul band called The Commitments, managed by Jimmy Rabbit, an unemployed wheeler and dealer with a vision to create the world's hardest working band.
Sure.
That's
what happened.
I'm glad that we finally get to this movie. Listener, look, just take everything that happens from here on out with a grain of salt, because I just want to say this is my favorite movie of all time. So if I sound defensive, it's because I probably am. But yeah, I think that this is an absolute banger classic of a film. I can't think of many other films that handle bands better than this. And I can't think of many films that do what this movie has done, because once we get into it, we start breaking it down, you're going to see what a kind of a fucking miracle this movie was in the first place. And secondly, I mean, Alan Parker's doing shit that Sean's doing, a lot of these other guys that are doing this cinema verite stuff where they're, Safdie, who's bringing, I'm going to put you next to some people who don't really act because I want it to seem gritty and real. Well, guess what? Parker's doing that with an entire fucking band. None of these people are actors. None of them are actors. A few of them had been in things before, but like the lead guy, the guy who plays Jimmy Rabbit, he's a musician. The lead singer in The Commitments, he's just a 16-year-old kid whose dad happened to, be working as a music thing and doing some work with Alan Parker and said, well, here, my kid can sing. It's insane. Anyway, I'll start wandering if you don't keep me in check. So The Commitments.
This is another trilogy, apparently.
Yeah.
This is the first part of a trilogy. I had no idea.
Yeah, the van comes
it's
next.
It's a trilogy through books. It's called the Barrytown trilogy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the other movies are The Snapper and The Van. I think not the Danny DeVito.
I think The Snapper comes after The Van, but I could be wrong.
And so who knows? Maybe we'll have to bring those on. They are not directed by Alan Parker, but they are all from the same authors.
Roddy Doyle.
Books.
Yeah, Roddy Doyle wrote The Van.
About the family or something. There's some kind of connection.
The Van is about a chippy van. It's about the kids run around in that chippy van. Mm-hmm. And the van is about the chippy van. And you know who runs the chippy van in The Van? Fucking Cole Meany, the dad from fucking The Commitments.
Oh yeah.
So there's some nice
dad on It's Always Sunny.
Yeah.
But you know him best from Star Trek.
Yeah, this would have been right around the time that he was starting to get Star Trek work as Chief O'Brien.
And wasn't he also in Get Him to the Greek?
Yeah, later on. Yeah, hell yeah, he was.
He's become one of our most watched actors now.
Love him. Love Cole Meany.
But yeah, he's Charlie Day's dad on It's Always Sunny when they go to Ireland. Yeah, so
of course he is.
That was pretty good.
So let's start from the beginning. So we started an Irish swap meet in this film, right? And we hear one kid singing some song about a Cumberland mine, and he's singing like it just happened, and he's trying to commemorate the whole thing. And we follow Jimmy Rabbit, who's moving through, trying to move some merchandise. And we see right away that he's kind of a hustler. He's trying to make money. He's doing things. And we pass by another guy who's singing Jackie's Clown on a friggin' acoustic guitar. And, I
think it's Everly Brothers, right?
Yeah, Everly Brothers right away, right? And setting some tones. But we also realize this is working class, poor people, Irish swap meet. This is not, ain't nobody got money here, right? And then immediately cut to a wedding, right? We immediately cut to this wedding with this terrible dude singing fucking, what is that song? Needles and Pins. He's singing Needles and Pins. And the fucking band, the crowd is eating it up. And he in turn is wiggling his ass like he's fucking Tom Jones or some shit. Like he's You know, and the two dudes playing the guitar and the bass are so fucking over it. You can tell they're so over it. Like, because the guitarist is literally playing the slide with his beer glass. That's how bored
And
he is.
One of them is Glenn Hansard.
Yes.
And I know him because he performs with Pearl Jam every now and then. Him and Eddie Vedder do Throw Your Arms Around Me occasionally as a duet. They've been doing that on and off for the past 20 years.
You're fucking kidding me.
I was like, oh, I know.
I didn't even know. You're fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
Man.
A cool little thing.
Yeah, Glenn Hansard he plays Outspan Foster. So Glenn Hansard also, just so you know, I think he won an Oscar. Yeah, he won an Oscar for
once.
For once.
Right?
Yeah, best achievement in music written for a motion picture for an original song. So he's been around for a bit, and as an actor and a musician, he's very, very talented guy. But yeah, so they, you know, Jimmy Rabbit shows up at that. Well, first off, I love the fact that he's on the bus basically selling movies that he's dubbed onto VHS tape. That's so much something like, I don't know, because I used to sell shit at like school all the time. It feels like something I would have done, you know, if I'd had the balls. But then he shows up at that wedding and the dude goes,
well, look, that's the only way you were getting stuff back then.
True.
You know, you didn't have internet.
Yeah. But he shows up at that wedding and immediately the lead singer's like, well, we'll be back, so stay in the groove. And they cut to Jimmy's face and he looks like he's about to puke. It's so perfect because he's just like, what? And then we get Drunk Deco singing. I don't know if you know that song, but that song from that he's singing, the one Letters from America, that's a fucking commitment, the Proclaimers song. The same band that did I Would Walk 500 Miles, another Irish band from Leith, I think. Anyway.
Like and subscribe.
But yeah, he's approached to manage the band, and what does he do? He immediately fires the lead singer. and because he knows that the dude that he just heard singing drunk that fell over off the stage and ended up piling into a bunch of people is the guy that he wants to sing for the band. And we're off and running, you know? And then we get to that whole great audition montage with.
It is the birth of the American Idol format or British Idol, but it's not. Because remember, Alan Parker brought us a movie called Fame, which brought us that first. This is kind of like a sister movie to Fame, I feel, from him.
It's a great call. I feel that Alan Parker is the one after Fame to perfectly be positioned to make a movie like this and to pull this off. Because again, he shows up in Dublin and starts going, okay, how are we going to do this? And they just start having open casting calls. The guy who plays the saxophone, Dean, the jazz saxophone player, he was hired just to be in the audition band. He was hired to play the background music for the people who were coming in to audition for parts. And Alan Parker spotted him and was like, I'm going to use that guy as my saxophonist. The lead guy who plays the trumpet, Joey, he doesn't know how to play trumpet. He's an actor. He has no fucking idea. He's never played an instrument his entire life. Jimmy Rabbit, the guy who plays Jimmy Rabbit, he plays 8 fucking instruments. And he tried out for 4 different musical parts in the film. And they went, nope, you're going to play the one fucking character who doesn't play a fucking instrument at all. Which must have been frustrating as hell for him to have to fucking literally, because the whole band is an actual band. They're playing these songs live. Alan Parker and his sound producer figured out early on how to do something that they called off-phase recording, where they could have live performances and they could record the vocal tracks live. So then everything feels right there and in the moment. So all the things that Deco are singing are live. In the very end where he's singing Try a Little Tenderness and he takes the microphone off the stand, you can hear the rustle of the microphone as he's pulling it off the stand because it's all fucking live. So anyway, very, very cool. In case you haven't noticed, this is one of my favorite films. But yeah, we get that great audition scene. Elvis was a Cajun. You get that traditional Irons folk music, and they cut to all the girls and this mom dancing in the fucking kitchen. You know, and then you get fucking Coconut Joe and all these weird auditions. You know, the fucking punk rock guy who claims that Barry Manilow is his inspiration. Anyway, that's some good shit in there.
I mean, I do enjoy the film, but I find it incredibly frustrating to watch. I think it's got to be the slowest getting the band together sequence of any movie. Don't they spend like the first half of the movie just getting the band together, and they even say, we're not allowed to rehearse? And I'm like, and then once they start playing, they never stop playing for the last hour. So
I don't remember ever hearing we're not allowed to rehearse, but I mean, it does take, I think it's 34 minutes before they have the entire band together, where they've got all the pieces together. You know, Joey the Lips Fagan shows up. They get the commitment ets, you know, because he's got to go to Bernie and ask Bernie to bring in Imelda Quark, which brings in the other girl. So he's got the 3 backup singers he needs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you say it that way.
I think it's just an older movie, and I think that's what was getting the pacing on it. And yet, you know, it's Alan Parker. He's always going to be weird. This guy brought us The Wall, which also kind of fits in to the themes of this as well. But yet I see pieces of Tati in this. Like there's those little moments here and there where you're like, oh yeah, he's such a strange director. His movies are always challenging and bizarre. And this is definitely one of his better movies.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
But it was much like the other movie. Once you get to the end, you go, now I see the bigger picture. I see what this whole thing was. And like I mentioned earlier, mentioned really earlier, like you get different things out of different movies, watching them at different times in your life. Mm-hmm. You know, I've watched The Commitments in my 20s and I would think it's about one thing, mm-hmm. but then I get into my 50s and having made several creative ventures with many different people. And then you start to realize what kind of subtext Alan Parker and the author are putting into this that I don't know if everybody's catching on to. And so the frustration was the real life of oh my God, because you're experiencing what you've gone through in ways reflected on the screen. And that's why it can be a hard watch, because it's not entertaining for me to go down those roads again, but it's a true watch. It's a true watch.
That's why I love it more than anything, is because I saw these. This is what I'm talking about. This is why I mentioned, if you've ever been around bands, you and I have been around bands. We've seen our friends go through bands. We've been around bands, and you know, we've brought bands on shows. You know, we've seen kind of that aspect of the music business. We've watched bands fall apart literally in front of our fucking eyes. You know, we've seen friendships shatter because of them, and so a lot of that feels so realistic. You know, and I mean, shit, I watch this movie now and I can literally tell the moment that the band starts to tip over into falling apart. There's a moment, it's, you know, when he gets electrocuted, they have their first big performance, right? At the church, heroin kills sign and all that shit. And he gets shocked because he somehow crossed the audio mics with the amp mics, right? And he was the ground. And so he gets electrocuted and the whole band's there to fucking, you know, get him out of the hospital, and they're excited to see him, and they're all kind of chatting and they're all excited, and there's this energy. And then literally the next scene is them practicing and Deco being a dickhead and upsetting the baby, and them having to practice fucking with the baby crying. Right. And you can see it kind of start to fall apart. Fucking Joey the Lips is starting to fuck all the different girls in the band and, you know, create that havoc. And then, you know, all this other shit that starts to go on, and it starts to slowly fall apart. My favorite part of the movie is when Jimmy gets the fucking record deal. He's talking to Agent Records. He's got you know, we're not going to give you a front, but we're going to pay for money in the studio and this. And he goes, yeah. And he runs back to the back to tell the band that he's got this record deal. And they're fucking just completely these shit ass people who have completely fallen apart all over each other, mm-hmm. and their egos have driven them to this. And he just looks at him and goes, fuck all of you. Like, you're not fucking worth it. Get the fuck away.
It's like when they all beat each other up in the motel room and Tom Savini's like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's kind of the same themes of, you know.
Yeah, no, I totally. But then that's why it's so beautiful that he's walking down later and Joey explains to him, it's like, dude, it's, you know, yeah, we could have fucking made records and been famous, and that would have been fucking predictable.
I think Joey's saying that because I don't think Joey wanted to say that, though. I think Joey wanted to make the albums and be a success. I think that's kind of a little Band-Aid he's putting on it.
I still think even if it's a Band-Aid, it's still a valid bandage. It's still a valid way to look at it and say, yeah, we could have been, it could have worked all out. It could have been great. But if nothing else, look at what you did for all these people who went on to be in bands and do other things and have some sort of success in some way that they may not have had they not joined this one band and you done what you did, right? That's the coolest thing, I think. It's like you and I used to have a television show on public access, and there were several shows that spun out of us. Several shows that spun directly out of us. The David Kin show, the Jason show, right? And so without us having a show, would that shows have happened? Who knows, right? So it's a fun way to look at it, I think. Some of my favorite stuff is, I love Mika Wallace. I love that they give Deco a huge ego immediately. It makes complete sense. I love that Ben Foster gets so upset that his mom shows up to the first viewing, and they're like, well, just have Mika throw her out. And he's like, my mom would beat the shit out of Mika Wallace any fucking day of the week. And the whole band's just laughing at him. They're just like, that's hilarious that your mom would. And if you go back and watch the film, when his mom shows up, Mika Wallace is like, oh, Mrs. Fassbender, come over right over here. He's very conciliatory towards her, which I find very funny. The movie's been thought out very well so that these things pay off. Like a lot of things, pay off. These things that you see earlier on, they pay off to a joke or to a comment or to something else that happens. It's a really well thought out movie, I think. One of my other favorite parts is I love Jimmy's dad's obsession with Elvis. And when Joey shows up and is telling those Elvis stories, you remember? He was like, well, and then Werner puked in my trumpet. Like, what? Werner puked in your trumpet? And yeah, and then what happened? And the twins come in and Combs like, get out. Cause he's desperate to hear, this whole story about Werner and Elvis. I just thought that was hilarious. The whole, did you ever see Elvis using drugs? Nope, never, brother. That's the thing is Joey lying throughout the movie, or is he telling the truth, Marty?
He's telling the truth.
Is he?
Well, of course.
About all of it?
About all of it.
So Joey's truthful. You think Joey's truthful throughout the whole thing?
Joey's the only truthful one.
You think so?
Yeah. Because Wilson Pickett shows up.
So, right. But when he said.
It's like Big Night, but the guy actually shows up. See, Big Night pulled from this too, I think.
But when he says, oh, that's a good call. That's a great call. But when he says, I got a note from Joey's mom says he got a note from Joey and Joey's on tour with Tex Ritter. The only problem is Tex Ritter's been dead since 1982.
Well,
so Joey's a fucking liar, right? Like it's another one of my favorite scenes is where he and that girl are going to have sex. And he's like, he puts on the fucking Shaft record and starts fucking doing that whole, come on, baby. Mm-hmm. And just, she's like, would you stop talking shit, dude? And just get down here.
Well, now you're tapping into my overall interpretation of the movie, which isn't something I caught until I got to the end of it. Uh-huh. It was certainly not something I could have caught at age 20 or 30 or even 40. I would have had to go through, like I was saying, experience with people and making movies and stuff and dealing with different people who respond differently to different things and whatnot. And, watching this movie, I go through it and I'm aggravated, but then I get to the end of it and I realize it's not about the act 1, act 2, act 3 story. It's not even about figuring out if dude's a liar or not. It's more of allegories for things. It's kind of like When Harry Met Sally feels like it's not about two people, but it's more about just the overall relationships.
There's definitely some themes.
So this is more not really. It's like, because if I follow just the story of it, it becomes very unrealistic, right? Because like you don't suddenly hand drumsticks to Tommy Harper and he learns how to play overnight. He's just as good as the other guy, right? But it's a movie. It's a movie. It's putting that to move the story along. It's not trying to be realistic in that respect.
That is a perfect analogy, though. Man, you fucking nailed it. Giving Micah Wallace the drums is like giving Tommy Harper a fucking pair of drumsticks. Now he does say he's breaking him in and figuring him out. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
Well,
it's funny.
Fucking other than drums, the only other instrument you're going to get into quickly on a band is bass, right?
But this is the guy who made Fame. But then you get to the end of this and you go, oh, it is similar. Because just like in Fame, you must want it. You can't chase somebody else's dream. It has to be your dream. Otherwise, it falls apart. Like, of course, the Commitments fell apart. Because to me, it's a movie not about a band that almost made it and fell apart. It's about a band that never should have existed in the first place and ended up entitled. What Alan Parker seems to show us in his films is that you must be devoted to your craft, like in Fame. And even then, eventually, it could drive you crazy, like in The Wall. But it's not about the story. It never is with Parker. It's about the themes and the caricatures. It's not bleak. It's kind of stark. It's kind of like there's always hope after going through hell in his movies, right? There's always a little, we went through it, it was rough, but there's still hope that if we have our dream, we can do it the right way with the right people that want to do it, instead of the people that you find who weren't really into it and they got a taste of it and they immediately become entitled and then everything falls apart. And I'm sure Alan Parker's experienced this. I'm sure Roddy's experienced this. And I feel like there's a lot of that subtext in the movie. It's kind of like, you got to be devoted or go home. It's like that quote from Q in Star Trek. There's all sorts of wonders out here, but it's not for the timid. You might want to stay home and stay under your bed, or whatever the quote is there. I almost feel sorry for Jimmy. And at the same time, I kind of hate him. Because it's like, you see what happens when you force it? It's like Full Monty. It's like, dude, just go get a fucking job or move to somewhere where you can manage people. Because people have lives and shit. And only the most devoted people in the world are going to show up and do a gig because they're musicians. But see, that's where I go, wait a minute, Marty. You're paying attention too much to the story. It's not the story. He's presenting the story so he can show you what happens in this business over and over again, that it's really only about the people that truly wanted it. And everybody else can come along for the ride a little bit. But like in that thing you do, sometimes their ride is only for a year or two, and they're not going to be a part of it forever. And you thought maybe they were going to be the ones who were going to be around forever. But it turns out you're just the one, because you're the crazy one who's devoted, who never stops. So maybe Jimmy goes on and finds some people who really do want to do it. But for a moment, these people did want to do it. And it's good. It helped them in their life further on. But, it just made me realize it's not about the story with Alan Parker. And it made me think of his other movies in a different light, too. Same with Fame. I'm glad I watched that not that long ago. We'll have to bring that on pretty soon, too, because he's definitely telling us something in his themes, right? Something about, it made me even think, like, remember when Leroy shows up in Fame and he gets famous and his sister was the one who wanted to do it? And he always does these weird things. And so the more I think about the movie, it's like, talk about growing on me throughout the years, because now I don't look at it as, oh, it was this band, they almost did it. And I'm like, oh, like you said, you see dude turn into an asshole almost right away, and then everybody's sleeping.
He's
like, these things just start to chip away, and
he's very clear, in my opinion, Roddy, is that what breaks the band up is ego, right? What breaks the band up is success. Right?
Yeah, they think he thinks they're better than they are.
The more
you guys are okay, but you're not
successful. They're good. I mean, they're literally walking into a record contract at one point. That's where they're heading. They're heading into a record contract. They're heading into Sam Cooke showing up to jam with them if they had just fucking stayed long enough to actually have it happen, right? So it's not that they weren't. It's not that they didn't have the talent or that they weren't going to make it. It's the the whole fact of like, you have to fucking you have to keep your ego in check. These things will fucking wreck you, you know?
And the ones who can't keep their egos in check are the horses that you drug to the water and force them to drink over and over.
No, I mean,
again.
look, I mean, there are yes and no. I mean, the music business is fucking inundated with talentless fucking clones who have been fed shit because they're fucking show ponies who know how to trot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is not that, right? This is the opposite of that. This is, you know, and I think the movie makes that really clear. Like, hey, working class, fucking coming up from the ground up, you know, having to fucking go get amplifiers and instruments and microphones from fucking, you know, from basically Irish mafia and shit, getting into fights with them about payments. You know, at one point he calls them the working band in Dublin. I completely agree with that. So it is watching a band kind of get inundated with its own success and then fall apart. There's also a lot of other shit. Like, it's also the inner dynamics of the band. That's not its whole thing. Like, the fact that Joey's pounding every fucking backup singer in that band has a fucking contribution to that. Those girls weren't mad about Joey. It's like one of them says to Joey at one point, they go, "This is your problem. You and your dick started this." And he just kind of puts his hands up like, "Oh no," because the girls are fighting over him, right? If you don't have that, then you don't have the other problems. You know, then you've got the saxophone player who's desperate to be a jazz musician, right? To the, you know, soul solos have corners. You were spiraling. That's jazz. You know, you're not supposed to play jazz in a soul song. What the fuck are you doing? So you've got all these different elements that are contributing to this band breaking down. It's a wonderful kind of menagerie of egotistical shit going on to watch them fall apart.
They thought they shared in Jimmy's dream for a while, but after a while it was like, no, they didn't.
Well, it was Jimmy's. Yeah. And I think that the whole thing was like, Jimmy's dream was to create something and he wanted it to be successful. And when it wasn't, he was really disappointed. But it's like fucking Joey told him, like, in time, you'll step back and see what you did. And what he did was, first off, he learned a lot, because later on, apparently the way that goes, he's in the music business and he's hooked up with the girl from the band that he talks about.
It makes more sense. That makes more sense. It
makes a lot more sense. Yeah. This is how he got his start. This is how he got his start managing. This is how he realizes all these things he's been doing in the film, all the t-shirts he's selling, all the recorded VHSs he's selling, all the salesman shit he's doing, all the different things that he's doing to glue this band together. He's going to be a music producer. He's going to have something to do in the music industry in that way. He's not going to be a musician. He's not going to be an artist. He's going to do the other things, you know, which I thought was really fucking cool.
Well, the lessons are: surround yourself with like-minded individuals, and don't be too surprised when people that you thought were the absolute ones turned out aren't. Because there's always going to be somebody else out there who can play that saxophone as well, you know, who wants to play that saxophone, who wants to be there. Who's not going to be an egotist.
Sure. It's like the Beatles, right? Like, nothing gold can stay. Like, no matter how good you are, your band is always going to fall apart. And if it doesn't, that probably means that it probably should have. You know, the fucking Eagles should not be out playing fucking concerts at their age. Like, what the fuck? The Rolling Stones need to retire. Like, it becomes kind of pantomime after a while, right? I love the priest correct. And by the way, this is Alan Parker's favorite scene in the movie, is when the piano player goes into the fucking confession box and he's like, "Oh, you know, I have unclean thoughts about all three girls that are in the band. And I used to think of this when I was studying, but now all I can think of is When a Man Loves a Woman by Marvin Gaye." And the priest is like, "That's Percy Sledge. I have that record." You know, perfect for that film, in my opinion. But yeah, that's, I like it. I like the film. It's both strangely intellectual and also strangely gross. You know, they steal the van, and of course he has to, you know, Deco has to fart in the van. So they have a whole scene about Deco's stinky fart, which is pretty juvenile compared to what else that you're getting, you know? But again, it's a movie, so trying to make the audience laugh.
But like I said, it's like it's the essence of that character. Not so much what he is or what he does, but what he represents. He was a guy who didn't even know he could sing. They got him to do it. He built himself up, and now he thinks he's the God's gift at music.
Well, he knew he could sing. It
all falls apart.
Yeah, he knew he could sing. He just didn't realize he'd sung in public, and he didn't realize other people had seen him. Because, like, at one point when they're watching the James Brown concert, and they go, "Can you sing that?" He looks at him and goes, "I can sing anything." Like, his confidence is there. He knows he can sing. He's just like, he was like, "I saw you sing at that wedding." He's like, "I did? I was like pissed on 15 rum and blacks." And they were like, "Well, you did, and you were awesome."
Well, sometimes you right. Can create a monster.
I was just about to say, you're right. It begins to, I mean, because right from the beginning, as soon as it starts, his ego begins to inflate constantly. Yeah, you get, his ego's inflated until finally at the end, he's like, "When I come off stage, I want a fucking towel and a bottle of mineral water." And the drummer's like, "God, I fucking hate you. I'm gonna have to punch you in the fucking face. This is how much I hate you, because you're a fucking douchebag." And that's eventually what happens. He eventually punches him in the fucking face because he's a fucking douchebag, right? Like, this is the asshole who wants the brown M&Ms taken out of the bag, right?
I'm not saying don't give people opportunities and don't try to, if you see talent, don't try to foster it in some way. But what I'm saying is, if they say no, you walk away and you find somebody else. You don't even think twice about it, okay? That's one of the best lessons in show business that you can take from this movie is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And if you do, they might want all the water.
Well, I was about to say, that's not true. You can make them drink. The thing that you can't predict is
not always, but sometimes
the thing that you can't predict is how they're going to react to the water.
And this movie kind of shows that.
Some of them may love the water. Some of them may think the water is the greatest thing on earth. Some of them may try to keep you from having any water. There's no fucking telling. Right.
And so it is much like Fame in different ways, but it handles it differently, but it's the same thing. Because Fame is all these people who are, I'm devoted, I'm fucking blah, 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 my craft, and bam, 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 bam. And here's kind of, oh, I'm talented? Yeah, you are. I'm going to put you together, and then I'm going to force you to do your craft. But at the end of the day, it's those who continue are the ones who are driven.
Well, you also have to look at, you have to also think about where this is. This is Ireland in 1990, 91. So it's, war-torn. And at one point they asked Jimmy, they say, you've been on the dole for 2 years. You can't find a job. He goes, "What are you going to do? We're a third world country."
He's going to start tripping like
it's a poor country. There ain't a lot of work. There's a lot of people fucking struggling, right? It's working class. And in fact, Roddy Doyle in the original book, the line is not, "I'm black and I'm proud." When he's explaining, he goes, the Ireland are the blacks of England, Dublin are the blacks of Ireland, and the North Dubliners are the blacks of Dublin. So say it with me, "I'm black and I'm proud." In the book, it was the N-word. So it was Ireland are the N-words of England. And apparently he was convinced to change it to black. And he disagrees because he says that's the whole problem is when you start treating that word like that, I guess. But, that's a debate for another time. But the point being, it's this "I'm black and I'm proud" thing that ends up being, I don't know, pretty funny, and also a very fun way of identifying kind of what they're struggling with and what they're struggling about. These are a bunch of poor ass people who are trying to rise above where they're at, right? So when they're given an opportunity, they run and they jump for it.
Everything and then start playing in a band. Because God knows I've tried to get people to do just the most minor things and they can't do it because they got to work. But then I go, wait a minute, movie's not realistic.
Well, but that's the thing.
An allegory.
Imagine that you could. That's the thing. Imagine you could get everybody, and they're showing up 3 hours a night, and they're sacrificing time with their families and all this, and 3 or 4 nights a week, right? And then suddenly it falls apart. That's pretty terrible.
That's kind of why I hate Jimmy, because he doesn't know well enough that these people need to just do their jobs. He's fucking their lives up.
What? It's his first time doing it. He doesn't know what he's doing, nor does anybody else.
I know, but that's why I feel sorry for him simultaneously.
My favorite part of the film happens at 1 hour, 37 minutes, and 42 seconds. It's the Try the Litter Tenderness song. Deco finishes the lyric Its very beginning of the song, Try a Little Tenderness. The camera cuts to Dean talking or taking a drag off of his cigarette. And then they cuts back to Deco, who whispers into the mic, Fandango. And this is a very subtle little thing that if you're not watching the movie and catching it, that runs throughout the theme of the film. And always for me, it's just the perfect moment in the movie. It's a moment where everything in the movie ties together. It's the last moment of perfection before everything falls apart. And I really, really enjoy that moment. It ties back to, of course, the talk about, we skip the light fantastic while he's playing it, in the church. And they're talking about it was Percy Sledge and he nicked it from Bach. Sorry, it wasn't Percy Sledge. It was Otis Redding. And they nicked it from Bach, of course. And then there's other mentions of the song. Like you said, threads of that song throughout both movies, right? And so to get to the end and to hear Fandango is really nice. It brings a chill to my spine every time. Yeah, I love the end where Pickett shows up and Rabbit realizes the truth of it. Because
it still would have fallen apart anyway.
Yes, absolutely. So but it's the difference between whether or not Joey was lying or telling the truth.
He wasn't completely
full of shit. Exactly. But so what do you think broke the band up? Was it ego?
Well, I think it was everything. I think it never should. What broke the band up is it shouldn't have existed in the first place. It was the ring of power. It was going to drive men insane. It's just from the moment they put it together, they had problems because he was forcing something to an existence that wasn't supposed to exist. That's why it fell apart, because not everybody was supposed to be doing that, which is what I feel is one of the main lessons of the movie, which is a subtext that I didn't catch till I was in my 50s because I hadn't lived enough, and I bet Alan Parker certainly had. I mean, the guy made Fame. He knows all about show business,
I completely disagree with your take. Like I like not only do I disagree with your take, it's weird to me that that's what you take from it. What I take from it is the fact that you try things and those things can grow and extend to a certain point and then they'll fail. And that doesn't mean that you've stopped going. You pick up and do the next thing. Everybody else in that band ended up going on to other things.
The driven ones.
And even if they didn't, they still remembered fondly what they had done and probably still late at night in the deep dark as they're going to sleep, wish they had continued to try and pursue it, right? Because it's like a fucking virus once it gets into your blood. And to me, that's what the movie is about. It's about catching the virus. It's about trying to join the circus. It's about it falling apart.
Some do.
And continuing to try and push and join that circus to try and, burning with her bad fucking country music.
Yeah, she was supposed to go that way. Dude was supposed to go be jazz.
But you got to start somewhere, and it's got to go somewhere, and it's got to fall apart.
Weren't supposed to be in it at all.
It's got to start, it's got to go somewhere, and it's got to fall apart so that it can go to the next thing and the next thing so that everybody can eventually be where they want to be, right? And so that's what I take from it, and that's what I really love about it, is that it's got this sort of positivity from the discovery of who you could potentially be, right? None of these kids without that band possibly, and that's what Joey tells him. It's like, it's not about fucking being famous. And I know you think that line's about something else, but for me, what it means is it's not about being famous and making records. It's about the fact that you showed these kids that they could be something else other than fucking gutting fish and fucking, working with the hogs in the slaughterhouse, that they can do something else with their lives, right? One of my favorite scenes is where we literally see the bass player warming his hands up and practicing when he's in the middle of that slaughterhouse, and they're wheeling fucking pigs by that have been slaughtered, and he's practicing on the bass, right? And these kids are definitely coming from nothing.
Well, it's good to get people excited about things. I'm not saying that. I don't think the story's realistic, but I don't think it's supposed to be realistic. I think it's an allegory.
No, of course not. It's a fairy tale to a certain extent. I don't think at all it's supposed to be like a Verret slice of life or a verite type thing where you're supposed to believe that this actually happened.
Well, yeah, you don't
you know,
suddenly start becoming
I don't
good.
think Back to the
You
Future
didn't have
actually
any
happened,
real
even though, Marty
Yeah.
McFly had a shoe that came out or whatever, but no.
Yeah, but they're not time traveling, and they had a drummer who was good, and they have another drummer who
True.
just as good as him who
Well, true,
had
but
no
I mean,
idea what he was
I don't
doing.
think Rock and Roll High School fucking
It's that
happened, and I
type
don't
of
think,
stuff.
Get Crazy happened, nor do I think all these
Well,
other
those are
fucking
like
type of
Airplane,
movies
though.
happened.
This
Like,
isn't like Airplane. This is more
this
dramatic.
this isn't trying to tell you that
But
this
this is Alan Parker, though. You're
any
right,
kind of
because
realism at all.
he made Birdie. He made The Wall. He always puts a little surreal. But when you get to the end of them, like the end of Birdie, and the guy looks up like, what? Like, it's not that bad. You made it up to be like it's going to be horrible, Birdie guy. Remember? And then he jumps off the ledge, and then he looks up like, what? And it's like the whole thing. It's like with Alan Parker. It's like there's that keep calm and carry on thing, right? There's always some hope after going through hell. I guess it must be this very British thing.
I mean, I think he's a very layered director, right? Like, I think that
there's a lot
going on in his movies for sure.
I just think some people think this is just a simple. And it's like, oh, there's a lot more depth in this than a simple movie.
I think it's I would agree with that. I mean, I think his thing is that he tends to. There's a lot of realism in his movies, but the movies aren't necessarily realistic.
There you go.
If that makes sense. Like, Fame is not. It's realistic in a way, but it's also not super realistic.
He
right?
does things to show what he's trying to.
Yeah, he takes
portray,
a realistic situation and injects a bit of non-realism into it, I guess. Like, it's like you said with the kid who suddenly shows up and he takes over his sister's thing, and then now he's a comedian, and then he's going to go off and be his own thing, and he falls apart. And it's like he's
showing us the process.
Yeah, you're showing us the process. You're amalgamating a bunch of different things to put together this linear thing that you're doing, and so it's not necessarily realistic, but it is.
And that's what I caught at the end. Yeah, I was like, oh, I see what he's doing here.
But you're not. I don't think at any time you're supposed to believe that The Commitments is a based in reality, grounded in reality type movie. It's supposed to be a fun comedy journey, enjoyable type thing, where you kind of watch a thing that almost could have been,
Well, to me, what some people get when they watch Whiplash, that's what this movie did to me. Where it's like, I liked it, but boy, it's frustrating as fuck, because you just want to tell Jimmy, dude, do this, do that, but he can't because it's his first and he has to figure this stuff out because that's life.
Yeah.
But it's rough watching him go through it.
I think it's fun watching him go through it. I love his bathroom scenes where he's in the bathroom and it's like as big as the Rolling Stones, and they're like, who the fuck are they, Terry? And he's always got his little interviews with Terry that he's doing and shit. And I mean, and he's a smart kid. Like he knows to get the three girls because that adds an element to the band. He knows that to listen to Joey the Lips, he knows that, like, okay, if we're going to do soul, the band needs to have a the name. All the best bands from the 60s have a the name. He really knows what he's about in the film, which is what I like about Jimmy. Is Jimmy's, out of all of them, knows the most about where he's going, what he wants, and how he's trying to get there. It's just the band itself that ends up fucking it up for him, right? Which is why he's going to be successful later on.
Hey, band members, what are you into? Oh, you're not into this soul thing? Get out of here. We'll find somebody else who is. And The Commitments goes forever.
He gives an entire fucking speech on the subway about what soul is and what it means.
I know, but
if you ain't into it at that point, maybe you should get the fuck out. Like, at that point, that's your problem, not Jimmy's fucking problem. Jimmy's very honest and transparent about what he's building. Right, like,
it falls apart though.
He's very and it falls apart because Deco's got an ego out the fucking wazoo. Again, Joey's having sex with all three of the girls. The saxophone player isn't satisfied just being a soul saxophone player. The fucking bass player and the guitar player are fucking nuts. The drummer's literally a fucking thug. Yeah, of course the band's gonna fall apart. Like, Jimmy's lucky that band stayed together for as long as it was, if we're being completely fucking honest.
Right.
Not that it never should have been. It's just kind of a miracle that it's like a car that you parted together from 9 different cars and you're shocked it started and went anywhere.
Well, that's what I mean.
And it's magnificent to see, and it's really glorious, and you cheer for it because you really want it to keep going. And then when it falls apart, you're kind of like, yeah, that tracks. That makes sense. I get it. Anyway, that's a 5-star movie for me.
Yeah, it's 3 for me.
Yeah, I've kind of figured.
I never cheer. I just wait for it to fall apart because I know that's what's coming.
Listener, I highly recommend that you go watch The Commitments. Stop this right now and do it, and then come back and then listen to it, and then tell us what you thought. Read it. Write us in. Tell us what you thought. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that or Withnail and I.
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter which order you watch them in, because the whiter shade of pale will freak you out in either direction. If you watch Withnail second, right? Because then you'll have the end of Commitments with whiter shade, and then Withnail starts with whiter shade. And it's like, wait a minute, did I just hear this fucking song? How are these connected? Well, they just are somehow. And it definitely gave me goosebumps at the end of the Commitments. And I was like, well, that was one of the weirdest pairings just because of how that went. And it was the music that connected it, strangely enough. And somebody named Peter Frampton, who wasn't a musician, but a makeup artist who worked on both films. Damn, the Kevin Bacon rabbit hole is weird. It's like a plate of shrimp, and then somebody will say plate of shrimp out of nowhere, and it doesn't mean anything. And you're going to look for a reason for the connection, and you're never going to find one. But I tell you what, you are going to find one of these air conditioner fresheners in every car. So Alex Cox fits in this somehow.
So we've got 2 guests next for the season opener, right?
Yeah, we have guests, and then the next week we have guests, and then the week after that we're back with the solo episode. We'll do a fewer of those in the next season because we want to get more guests on. And we'll also do the season review at that point. And, man, it's just, I don't know what to give you at this point. I have a couple of things here, and I'm just not certain which one to pull from. I don't think any of them are a bad choice. I do have one that I'm pairing as movie 199 with your 200. I'm guessing that'll be fun because our 200th movie covered is coming up soon. But for our first actual season 4, that's not a guest. Let's just go at the top here. So there was this director. His name was Josh Becker. He worked on Evil Dead and some other early Raimi films, and he recently passed away. Now, this isn't the reason I'm bringing this movie to the show. I was going to bring it anyway, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that he just died a couple months ago. And this is one of movies that he made really quickly with Bruce Campbell around 97. It's called Running Time. And so figure let's see what you think of that. It's kind of a little experimental, but it's also kind of a little action thing. It's no budget, but it's something. So we'll see what you think of that.
I'm going to give you Sinners.
Oh, I get to watch that finally.
Yep.
That's broke the Oscar record.
Yep. Yeah, Oscars are coming up. I've been talking about getting away from these older movies and things that we haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought maybe you hadn't seen that one before.
I've seen it. Well, you have. I mean, you have. I haven't seen Sinners. It's a complete blind pick for the both of us. So I do have some blind picks coming up, but I had a couple more. Right. It's always going to be a little different. So Sinners it is, and okay, yep, sounds good. You want to get out of here on a quote?
Mm-hmm. You should never mix your drinks.
I have several. It's Ride Sally Ride, not Roid Sally Roid.
That's true.
Pick a nipple and try it again. And then, of course, I'm black and I'm proud. All right, let's get out of here. See you soon.
Mm-hmm.
Later. Don't miss an episode. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, like us on YouTube, or give us a 5-star rating on the podcast app of your choice.